Good day, my beautiful people, my lovely community. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been a while, but I'm back and better. Today's tutorial is about how to cut and sew this short structured A-shape dress, and it's a tutorial that you will love. It's well detailed and it's also beginner friendly. Stay tuned. Okay, so yeah, I have 2 yards of this crepe fabric. It's advisable we use the thick fabric. And here's my scissors and chalk, also my tape rule. So I'll go ahead and fold my fabric into 2. So first thing first, I folded my fabric into 2. And next thing is to measure my shoulder measurement divided by 2. Measure at the tip of the fabric. But before then, I went ahead to rule a straight line. That would be my starting point, because I don't want to start from the edge of the fabric. So I went ahead to rule a straight line. Then from there, I will measure my shoulder measurements divided by 2. My shoulder measurement is 15 divided by 2 is 7.5, and I went ahead to add ½ inch allowance. Also, from that point, I measure my bust point measurement, which is 10 inches. 10 inches. I measure at least 2 places, then I rule a straight line. That will also serve as the bust line measurement. Then I measured what I have on the shoulder part, which is 8 inches on that bust line. I'll rule a straight line to connect both mark parts together. So after that, I did the shoulder slope, which is on the armhole line. From the shoulder point, you drop 1 inch downward. And for my neck, I use 3 inches by 2 3/4. 3 inches for the shoulder part. Then the depth is 2 3/4. Then I'll join the mark part, the neck point, shoulder slope. So I'll connect the parts together. So after this, the next thing is to get the midpoint of my armhole line. What I have here is 9 inches from the shoulder slope. Remember, it was 10 inches I measured before. So I'll get the midpoint. Now I have 9 inches, which is 4.5. Then I'll go in by ½ inch. Then I'll connect that point to the shoulder slope. Connect that point to the shoulder slope. I'll go ahead to divide my bust measurement by 4. My bust measurement is 36. Divided by 4, we have 9. I'll mark 9 inches on that bust point line, then add 2 inches allowance. Then from that 2 inches allowance, I'll connect to the midpoint of the armhole line, just like so. So now the next thing for me to do is to get the waist line, which is 17 inches. My half length is 17 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark that from my shoulder line. And also I'll divide my waist measurement divided by 4. And waist measurement is 30 divided by 4. We have 7.5. I'll also add 2 inches allowance to my actual measurement. Then here, I get my camera, my phone bent unknowingly to me. If you notice, my tripod stand is showing. So unknowingly to me, my phone bent. So from the waistline, which is 17 inches, I measure 8 inches downward. which is from the shoulder point to the hip line, which that's 25 inches. But you can just from your waist measurements, from the waistline rather, measure 8 inches or 9 inches, depending on how tall you are, downward. That will give you your hip line. So on the hip line, I divide my hip measure by 4 inches. So I divide my hip measurement by 4 inches. My hip measurement is 42. Divided by 4 is 10.5. So I added 3 inches to that hip area to give us that volume. If you should remember the style we're working with, the hip area is a bit bigger than the actual hip measurement, so you add 3 inches to your measurement. This is not the allowance, so I had 3 inches to my measurement, which is 13.5. then I went ahead to add the allowance, which makes it 15.5. Also, the next thing now is for you to measure the length of your dress. So I measured the length of my dress. The length I use here is 35 plus 1 inch folding allowance, so 35 inches. After measuring the length of the dress, you go ahead and do the same measurement you have at the hip area. You take it to the length of the dress. So I'll cut this video now and proceed to where I can explain better, because here you're not seeing the down part. Okay, here is a brief explanation how I get the down part. So just a recap. The bust measurement, I divide my bust measurement by 4 plus 2 inches allowance. Also the waist measurement, I divide my waist measurement by 4 plus 2 inches allowance. Then from the waist measurement, I went down by 8 inches. Then my hip line, from the shoulder, if you measure, you should have 25 inches. So our half length might varies. So from the waist measurement, just measure down 8 inches and or 9 inches, depending on how tall you are. Divide your hip measurement by 4. Then I went ahead to add 3 inches to the measurement. This is not the allowance, just to give us that volume at the hip side. Then I went ahead to add 2 inches measurement for allowance. Then I measure my dress length. Remember, it's a short dress, so I use 35 inches for this dress. I use 35 inches for the dress. So I bring down what I have at the hip area. I took it down to the length of the dress. You know, we have all together at the hip area is 15.5. So I measure 15.5 also at the down part. Then I connected all the mark parts and cut out. I hope you understand this. Then the next thing is for me to cut the back of the dress. So what the difference between the front and the back is just the allowance and the armhole. The armhole is a little bit different. So I went ahead to fold. I had 2 inches for the zip allowance. So at the waist area on the zip allowance side, I went in from that 2 inches. I went in by 3/4 of an inch inwardly. This is just for me to avoid my zip not being laid well. So if I should do it this way, the zip will balance. Then I connect that 3/4 to meet the 2 inches, like so. Then I connect and blend. Then also I went ahead to cover the neck part. I just come down a little bit from the shoulder. You can use 1 inch. So for the neck part, I use 1 inch for that part. Then I went ahead to cut out. Okay, so I went ahead to cut my lining. I make sure the lining is 1 inch shorter than the main dress. Remember, our main fabric rather is 35 inches, so I made the lining 34 inches. So the next thing now is for me to add interfacing. I will be adding interfacing on my main fabric. You can add on both fabric and lining depending on how thick your fabric is. Remember, I told you it is advisable you use a thick fabric for this design. So I'll be adding interfacing to my own fabric only. So here is what it looked like after adding my interfacing. It's a bit thicker. So the next thing for me now is to join my zip allowance on the main fabric. So I'll join the 2 inches. Remember, we had 2 inches for the zip allowance. I'll join 2 inches from beginning till the end. I'll do that off the camera and bring it back. So here's what it looks like after sewing the allowance. I went ahead to iron. It's necessary you iron while sewing. It is very important. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do well by subscribing at this point. Subscribe, hit the like button. So the next thing now is for us to work on the front part. Yes, remember the dress have a fake pockets, not a real pockets now. So I went ahead to cut out this 2-piece 7 inches by 6.5. 7 inches by 6.5. So I'll go ahead and add my interfacing to this. You're cutting 2 of this 7 inches by 6.5. So I'll add my interfacing to it and fold. The 7 inches part will be folding. So while on fold, we have 3.5 by 6.5. Hope you get it. On fold, we have 3.5 by 6.5. So I'll go ahead and iron my interfacing and bring it back. Okay, so here is the false pocket after cutting. So after sewing the inside. So I have 3.5 by 6. 3.5 by 6. I didn't sew up to half inch. What I did was just to sew to 8. Yeah. So now next thing is for me to get where we're going to place it, the placement part. So from the shoulder, I'll measure 23 inches. So I want it to be around this area, 23 inches. So this is 23 inches. Also this part, I'll measure 23 inches. So as you can see, this is the midpoint of the fabric. You can see properly, this is the midpoint of the fabric. So from here, I'll measure 2.5. Measure 2.5. Now, so from this point to the other side, I'll measure 2.5 here. This point, measure 2.5. And then measure 23 again. Exactly on this point. Trying to remember to be okay. So I'm trying to make a straight line. This is straight. So now this is where I'm passing The distance between the two false pockets is just 5 inches. So I'll go ahead and place it this way from this point. This means I'm sewing this way. Once I sew to be this way, you get. So the next thing is on this line. This line. Okay, starting from this point. Okay. Same thing here. Go ahead and stitch here this way and this way. So after stitching, this is what I have. I went ahead to dot stitch also as well. So this is what it looks like. The next thing is for me to join my back piece and front piece together at the shoulder area. I'm joining the fabric separately, the lining separately, so as to have a good and neat finishing. So I'll stitch the shoulder part, and also I'll go ahead and stitch the 2 inches allowance we added. Remember our allowance is 2 inches. So I'll go ahead and stitch the shoulder part and the seam side, 2 inches allowance. I'll do same thing for the lining as well. I'll stitch the shoulder side and the seam side. I'll do that off the camera and bring it back. So here it is. We're done joining. This is what I have. It's beautiful. This is what I have. So this is the back. I'm trying to using this part. This is where my zip is start from, and this is where the zip will end. So when ironing this waist side, try and launch it a bit so it will relax. Launch it a bit and relax. I'm trying to avoid this thing. What's it called now? The lining. I only join the side. I don't join the, as you can see, it's open. I join the shoulder parts. There's the shoulder part, and I join the side. You can see the zip side is not closed. The zip is not closed at all, so it's open. I just want to see. I want you to see it properly. You see it's closed. The zip is open, unlike the main body itself. So this after joining, you have to leave it open. So you can see I'm fixing the zip that I have here. So the next thing now is for me to open up the zip and up this way. Then take the lining from one end. Let's take the lining. Remember, the lining is going in this way. This is the outer part of the lining. It's going to face the inside this way. Face the main fabric this way. So the sewing will be hidden. So all we need to do is just flip this. All we need to do is flip this over. It's simple. On the neck parts, from the zip side, from one side, the right part facing the right part. Yes. So from this point, this edge, you pin. Make sure this shoulder part is equal, and you pin it. Also, the shoulder part, the other shoulder point, make sure it is equal, and you pin it as well. And you want to sew from this end round to the other end. So from this end round to the other end. From this point round to the other points. You can see see, I'm done sewing the neck parts together. This is the wrong side and this is the right side. See, it's aligned. If you should use your pin properly, it will definitely align and everything is set. The next thing for me to notch this neck part, notch the neck part. You cut but not through, cut just little by little. Trim off the excess. Let's see, trim off. The next thing we want to do now is to top stitch. The top stitch, you place your top stitching will start from at least 1/4 inch away from the zip, somewhere around here, away from the zip. That's where your top stitching will start from, and you make sure this allowance is under the lining. The allowance is under the lining. So you start from sewing 1/4 inch away, and also 1/4 inch away from this joining, 1/4 inch away from the zip, and also 1/4 inch away from this joining upward this way. That's when you start your stitching from. Okay, so I just want to quickly show this part of the top stitching. Here's the zip. All we need to do is to start our stitching from somewhere around here. That's from here. Now you measure 1/4, and from this point you go upward to and measure 1/4. You get, that's where you start your top stitching from, not exactly from the tip of the zip. And make sure your allowance is under the lining. Make it this way. And see the way I'm trying to open it up so it will lay properly. Try and open the main fabric and the lining, flatten it very well, because you don't want any lining folding at this point after we are done stitching. So you have to use your hand. I'm using my hand to open my phone, so I'm just using one hand. Just open it up this way and stitch. So also you stop at same points, 1/4 inch. Sure you get the back stitch. That's all. Stitch the neck part, top stitch as well. So I went ahead to press it to iron the neck part. So what the next thing for us to do is to cover it up. So this zip side, we have to bring our lining this way to cover this part up and stitch. We are stitching on this part, this is the cloth of the zip. This part, that's where we're stitching, very close to this our zip stitch. So that's where we are, but we are sewing directly on the lining. So we're going to sew. Here's our zip, so we are sewing from this point downward, not on the teeth, but very close to this stitch here, not at this tip, but very close, somewhere around here. That's where we're stitching. So we stitch from here. So this is, I'm coming. So this is how the inside of our dress should look like, this way. So at this point I stopped. At this point I stopped here at least a little bit from the zip downward. I stop there, then I join the lining from inside, because we'll be turning this down part. So this is what we have. So from here I stitch to turn the down part. Make sure this zip part align with this zip part. So all we do is to dip our hand into the fabric, the lining, in between the lining and the main fabric. Then you pull this point, make sure it is open as well. Put this point and this point together, then bring it out. You start your, bring it out. Ensure this is facing, I don't know, when you're doing it you understand them. The right side is facing the right side, and start your stitching from one side till the end to the other point. So I'll take this to my machine and start my stitch. So this is what your dress should look like once you're done. Both inside and outside looks so good. See the finishing, looks so good. So the next thing now is for us to cut the sleeve, our cap sleeve. Cut it and attach it to, cut and attach it to the fabric, to the dress fabric. So even without fabric into two. So from this point, I don't want my length should be more than 5, just 5 inches. That's enough. So I'll just say here 5 inches. So from this point I'll go down by 3.5. and I'll blend this way, curve it this way. I'll measure my one sleeve, which is 13. My outfit is 13 divided by 2, that's 6.5, plus 1 inch allowance. I'll do 1.5 inch allowance, which is 8. So from this point, coming this way. So here's the sleeve. I'll cut this and also go ahead and cut for the other sleeve and the lining. So this is the end of this tutorial. I went ahead and stitched my sleeve and I added it to the dress. Thanks for watching. I'm sure you find this helpful. Please don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button. Thank you. See you in the next class.